What's the craziest thing you've ever done while cheering at a UNC basketball game? Perhaps you've made obscene gestures at the referee, or perhaps you've told a 7-foot tall, 250-pound man that he was terrible and should just go home. Do you think that you would have acted the same way if you were alone in the stands? Probably not. These types of behaviors are much easier to do when you're surrounded by thousands of other people doing the same thing that you are. This loss of self-awareness is referred to as deindividuation.
Deindividuation has been of great interest to social psychologists. For instance, a study conducted by Nadler et al. Found evidence supporting the notion that deindividuation can be pleasant for some people while being adversive to others. Another study by Cannavale et al. Found that in small discussion groups whose members were relatively unable to identify who had made certain statements in the discussion were those in which a relatively large amount of hostile feelings and sentiments were expressed. Additionally, Jorgensen et al. Found that individuals who form part of high-density settings or large social aggregates would report feeling more deindividuated and acted in a less inhibited manner than those in low-density settings or who are part of a small social aggregate. Moreover, members of interacting social groups felt less deindividuated and acted more inhibited than solitary individuals.
A specific study on deindividuation was conducted by Derner et al. Using a naturalistic design on Halloween that assessed the effects of 3 deindividuation variables on stealing by children. Concealed raters unobtrusively observed over 1,300 trick-or-treaters who were assigned to various conditions and given an opportunity to steal candy and money. The independent variables in this study were anonymity versus non-anonymity, alone versus group, and groups with or without a child who was made responsible for the group's actions. The results indicated that stealing was significantly higher under conditions of anonymity and in the presence of a group. There was also an interaction effect between these variables. Altered responsibility affected the transgression rate only when both the leader and the members were anonymous. The highest rates of stealing occurred among anonymous children in groups with altered responsibility. Hayden was waiting for the stoplight to indicate that it was safe to cross, but once he saw everyone else crossing, he immediately followed, thus demonstrating the effects of deindividuation. It is important for us to be aware of the effects of deindividuation because throughout history, we have seen examples of people doing dangerous and harmful things to themselves and others because they were in a group and everyone else was doing it. It is important to be aware of our actions and to take responsibility for what we do.